Today we brought you here to have a speaker we're going to introduce to you in a minute to talk a little bit about something that I know is very important in all of your lives, something that is essentially ubiquitous, which means just about everywhere. It has seeped into the fabric of your generation in a very deep and meaningful way. And that involves the use of electronic devices, your cell phones, your tablets, your computers, and your behavior and presence on the internet. One of the things we need to start talking about, certainly as your generation and as a community, involves safe and ethical use of those resources. I want to just share with you a little analogy. Does anybody know, you guys are still a little bit young, but soon you're going to have your driver's licenses. There's something that happens in the psychology of people when they get behind the wheel of a car. You can take the nicest person you know, that person who is uber generous, would give you the shirt off their back. You put them sometimes behind the wheel of a car, and then you cut them off on the highway. And all of a sudden, this person is like a raging hulk of anger. That's called road rage. Part of the reason that happens is because they feel safe in their car. There's nobody there to be mindful of them, and they're behind the wheel of what is essentially a weapon. They sometimes will feel invulnerable or impenetrable to outside forces in life. The same psychology often happens when people are behind their computer screen or have their iPhones in front of them or their smart devices or their tablets. That oftentimes the way you talk to one another when you're face to face and the way you talk to one another when you're separated by a computer screen is often very different. And we found that through the pleasantries of life, when we're having a dispute or a conversation with somebody that might be getting heated, we never start using awful language. We never start calling them terrible things or engaging them with filthy language. But sometimes when those conversations happen online or in chat rooms or through texts, the quality of that dialogue changes. And that happens because often you feel separated from them in a certain level of safety. Well, I'm telling you, those conversations are very public because everybody sees them and they don't go away. You've created a record there that can follow you for a long time. So we want you all to be very mindful of that. And we have an individual who's here to talk to you today to share some experiences that he's had and how, in some cases, that online behavior has ruined lives. And I don't mean to overstate that. I think some of the stories you're going to hear today reflect that people's poor choices online don't just disappear when that computer or that smartphone or that device is turned off. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Driscoll. Mr. Driscoll is an internet safety expert, and he's going to talk to you about some of his experiences.
All right, good morning on a nice Monday morning. Now, I got to be honest with you. As your principal was talking to you, and he mentioned that we're going to be talking about internet safety and stuff, I did see a lot of this. I get that. I completely understand that some of you are sick and tired of hearing about this. That's why my approach is different. My approach is not going to be to lecture you. I'm not going to stand here and point a finger at what you've done. But I will share with you some of the experiences I've had. See, I'm just about to start my 24th year as a law enforcement officer. I run this company called Internet Safety Conscious, but I'm also a police officer. The first 10 years of my career, I was a youth officer investigating sexual assaults and rapes against anyone under the age of 15. And then the internet came on. And literally, I was the only person in my office that could turn the computer on and turn the computer off without crashing. That's no joke. I became the internet expert. Then my life and my career changed in 2003. I was asked to join a federal task force called Innocent Images. Out of the FBI New Haven headquarters, for 4 years, I was a 13-year-old kid on the internet. And I arrested bad guys from all over this country. And one thing I learned very quickly, we understand the technology. When we get it, we open it up, we start to use it, we get the technology, but sometimes we drop our guard a little bit on some of the safety that goes along with it. My goal today heighten our awareness and maybe rethink a little bit on how we're doing some stuff. There's programs out there that are fantastic that can be a great resource for you when used properly. But we drop our guard sometimes. And you hear me say we, I'm not pointing a finger at students. We as society, when we use this great technology that we have available, sometimes we drop our guard. Now I have 2 kids. I have one that's a freshman in college. So he just went through all the application process. They did all the background checks on his scholarships and saw what his digital footprint looks like. How did I know they were going to do that? I taught the college scholarship committee how to use the internet to do their background checks. So some people say, oh, once I'm in high school, I don't need this stuff. I teach from 4th grade through adult. High school is my primary target. Just because your digital footprint has such an impact, not only on you right now, but the next step, which is right around the corner. Now, we know about technology. You guys understand it. There's great apps, and there's things out there that, man, are a great time. Now, an observation. I had a fantastic audience until I put up a couple screenshots of some apps or programs that you like, and you've already lost your focus. We're not even using those apps. We just see pictures of them, and we already, our mind went somewhere else. Think about when we use them. When we use these great things, we are not thinking about safety. So to get started, the question is, do we need this in high school? And I got a short little video that'll get us thinking why it's so important we're talking about this today.
Jeff, good morning.
Hi, Meredith. Good morning to you. This case could be a real game changer, sending a very clear message that online bullying isn't just a harmless prank, not just messing around. It can be illegal. 2 teenagers in Connecticut just learned that the hard way, arrested and charged for setting up a nasty Facebook page.
It's painful because it's really rude and cruel comments that I know aren't true.
There it was on Facebook for everyone to see. Ali Pfeiffer's very own profile, her own page.
It was impersonating me. It was using my name. It was using my birth date, the schools I attend, everything.
But it was a fake. The profile photo, a cow. And as Ali read on, the jokes about her weight got even worse.
Under my interests, it includes Crisco, whales, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, dessert for dinner, breakfast, food in general, dessert, and eating. And under my favorite books, I don't know how to read. I've been bullied my entire life, but not to this extent. This is the worst it's ever been.
But who would do it? Ali became her own amateur investigator, finding electronic fingerprints on the Facebook page and taking the clues to police, who cracked the case.
That's impressive.
Without me doing that, they may have not found who it is, even to this day.
Police followed the trail to these 2 teenagers, Jeffrey Martone and Sarah Johnson, Ali's high school classmates. They all graduated together last year.
Did you ever have a problem with these kids?
No. I was best friends with one of them, and the other one I had just gone to high school with.
Why do you think they'd want to do this to you?
The excuse that they had used was that they were bored and they wanted to see my humiliation.
Suddenly, the smiling students in the high school yearbook had mugshots under arrest for criminal impersonation and harassment misdemeanors. Investigators say both Martone and Johnson confessed.
Now, just an observation. Obviously, no one looks good in mugshots. We laugh at mugshots. Nobody looks good in them. But an observation. When a young girl went on national television and said, "I've been bullied all my life," that took a lot of courage. She put that picture of a cow on national television so people can learn from it. And here we are in an assembly with our friends and our peers among us, and someone says they've been bullied all their life. Some of you might have missed her say that because we were laughing so hard when they described her hobbies as Ben & Jerry's ice cream. See, this is what we've got to do. We've got to retrain how we act. This is a permanent part of her digital footprint, and she did nothing wrong. Her best friend was bored. And now she's dealing with a digital footprint that'll follow her forever. And that's not fair. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things. And as we go through, you're going to realize that technology is fantastic. Not going to bash it, but it changes every single day. When I was a kid, and I'm not much older than you, that was technology, and it was really cool. But now, with today's tablets, today's mobile devices, and the internet, you have the world at the palm of your hand. And when used properly, man, oh man, is that a good thing. But when we don't use this thing called the internet in a safe way, not only is it ethically wrong, but now we're getting laws that can impact your life forever. The internet is a bunch of networks all over the world, as we know. That's why we have a problem. In Canada, if they have laws, they can run their websites a certain way, and we can't do anything about it here in the United States. What we have to do, though, is use it wisely. There's going to be several areas we're going to talk about for your digital footprint. Emails, texting, sexting, cyberbullying, and social networking. Huge parts of our lives. Let's talk about emails first. You guys are mostly sophomores and freshmen. If you haven't started to apply for jobs yet, here's what a normal job application looks like these days. Name, address, date of birth, phone number, email address. Right there is the first thing your potential boss will see. If your email address is flirtysexybaby123, it might not be the good first impression you want to give your potential boss. So not only is it what you're doing, but it says a lot about you. But here's the thing right here, guys. Anonymous. People still think they can create their fake Yahoo accounts, fake Gmail account, go on to Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat, Instagram, and do whatever they want. If you break the law, we in law enforcement can find what they call your IP address. IP address, the best way to describe it, it's a phone number for your computer. And every time you connect to the internet, it's registered and logged. My record is a 6th grade student. Didn't like the amount of homework she was getting. Went home, created a fake Yahoo account, and threatened her teacher's life. In great detail, said what she was going to do to the teacher. Didn't sign the name and hit send. 4 weeks from the time she hit send, I showed up with a court order to take her in front of a juvenile judge. And her first question to me was not, am I in a lot of trouble? Her first question to me was, how did you find me? I didn't use my home email address. It's not rocket science, guys. Please, if you think you're going to get away with it, if you cross that line and break the law, ever since the Patriot Act came out, we in law enforcement can find where it's from. So please use that as some advice. Just be careful with it. And when you start applying for jobs in colleges, I teach people how to use the internet for background checks. And one of the first things I say is ask them for every email they've ever used and start Google and Bing searching. Your emails with all the Tumblrs that we do and all the Twitter posts that we do. And if we link them to our email, you'd be surprised what's out there just by searching your email. So please use it wisely. Great resource when used properly. That's what got me here today. It was all via email communication. Great when used properly. Just be careful how you use it. Real quick, on all your music. The reason I bring this to your attention is this. Besides being someone that was undercover online, I was trained by the Secret Service and IRS on how to do computer forensic exams on hard drives. Bring all the computer stuff, all the deleted stuff back to life, and then go to court and testify. Every case involving these free music programs, the home computer system is full of viruses that your home Norton, your home McAfee, your home AVG will not pick up because of how these work. If you are using them, my advice is stop. I understand the draw for music. I am a drummer. I've been a drummer since the 3rd grade. I love music. But one thing I don't do is steal music just because of what it can do to my computer and what it can do to my finances. So just be careful with them. I know they're popular. BearShare and FrostWire seem to be leading the way. I get that. Use them cautiously. My advice is don't use them at all. If you're using iTunes, Rhapsody, Pandora, Spotify, keep doing what you're doing. But just be careful if you're using these programs. Now, these new ones that have just come out. See, again, I put up a couple screenshots and I get a reaction. I know what I'm talking about. It's kids that teach me the concerns. I want to focus on these two. Skype and Stickcam. All right, I have a Skype account. People think I'm uncool because I have one friend on it. It's my sister up in New Hampshire, and that's how we communicate. But you know what? I'm not worried about my safety when I use Skype. Uvu and Chat Roulette, as soon as you open up those programs, they say, hey, well, Uvu says, you want to bring all your Facebook and Twitter friends in? First question Uvu asks you. And that's great if you know every Facebook and Twitter friend you have. If they're strangers and you hit yes, you've just now allowed complete strangers into your house with audio and video. And the one I want to focus on is one that's got a lot of national news, is Chat Roulette. Chat Roulette pairs you up with random strangers. Now what you have to understand is everything that you guys see on this screen, there's there for a reason. This young man right here would get young girls your age to expose themselves. And he thought he'd be funny. What the young girls didn't realize is he was recording it the whole time. And then he would put it up on websites. A digital footprint of yourself dropping your guard for a couple seconds. Obviously there's inappropriate things. This is one I show, everyone always laughs at that, but the reason I show it is this. Let's say that picture behind her was not a graphic out of a magazine or something. It was a Woodbridge High, Amity High banner. Over the desk, instead of just being paperwork, what if it's her cheerleading outfit uniform and the name of the school across the chest? A random stranger, not even knowing you, hits record and says, I know where you live. And that's how they do it, guys. There's a thing called sextortion out there. Bad guys are using our video conferencing to get young people to do things they know they shouldn't. And then when they say, hey, I just recorded it, give me more, I'm putting this on the website, young people are freaking out and it's costing them their lives. I understand we use the video conferencing. It's a great technology. I say it before, I'll say it again, when used properly. If you are video chatting from your bedroom, big mistake. Huge mistake. That's what they look for. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you guys about predators and pedophiles the whole time we're here, but when you go into random chat rooms with strangers, that has to be a concern. Strangers come in all shapes and forms. And unfortunately, when they use these programs, they're trying to take some people's innocence. Don't let that happen. Now, let's talk about the ones that have consumed our lives. Instagram. We go out to dinner, we go for pizza. We take a picture of the pizza and we type in yummy and then we post it on Instagram. We're doing our homework and on Twitter we say, oh man, I hate doing my homework, blah, blah, blah. My answer is always the same when people put these up there. Who cares? We tell people way too much, but what people don't realize is because of a thing called GPS and geotagging, you're not only telling people what you're doing, but you might be telling exact strangers, pinpoint locations to where you're doing it. Now I can do it with Twitter, I can do it with Instagram. Today I chose Facebook. I opened up my Facebook account and found this guy. He is one of my high school friends. I've known him since I was in middle school. He is a friend. He has 950 Facebook friends. He's not that good of a guy. He does not have 950 people that like him, never mind be friends with him. But what he did was, from his Android phone, and we know that his Facebook Places, he checked in, like a lot of us do. You can't tell the at home is a different color because now it's a hyperlink. I scroll my mouse over at home, and because he used his mobile device, now I get a detailed map to his house. See, what happens is, and I can see the people's reaction, this might be new to you guys, that's why I'm sharing it with you. See, here's the thing, guys. When we do our check-ins, we share too much. If you have 3 people on your Facebook account, and you know every single one of them, you got nothing to worry about. But if we start spreading the news and we start bringing in people we don't know, this is what happens. So the next night, he puts up this, and he was going to a restaurant. I know where he lives because I'm friends with him. That's a 45-minute drive. 45-minute drive, hour to eat, 45-minute back. He just told probably 400 strangers, hey, my house is open for the next 2 hours. Now we know this is a fact because if you Google search it, just happened recently where a young girl got sent to live with her grandmother. And they sent her with cash. So she spread the cash out on the bed, took a picture of it with her Instagram account and posted it. 8 hours later, 2 guys broke into her house where her family was. Said, where's the girl? Where's the money? They said, she doesn't live here anymore. They opened up Facebook and said, baloney, she just posted this. They said, no, she's at her grandmother's house in a different state. Her family became victim of a robbery because of GPS and check-ins. And if you don't believe me, just Google search it. It's a report that's out there from one of the eastern states. We've got to be careful with this. I finally called my friend when he put up this post because he told everybody all this IT. I called him for 2 reasons. 1, he can't spell. And 2, I said, listen, you just told complete strangers your house is wide open. And he said to me, never thought of it that way. That's why I share it with you. He's in law enforcement, and he never thought of the safety that goes along with it. We think about safety all the time. You've got to be careful with the check-ins. There's no reason to tell everybody every step of the way. Now, picture sharing, your age group, is a huge concern. Bless you. Now, I'm not passing judgment, but the studies show this is a your age group concern. I'm not a big stat person. The most current and most recent survey I can find says 1 out of 5 students your age, between the ages of 13 and 18, have sent or received nude or semi-nude pictures. When I talk to 4th graders and I say a lot of kids are sending inappropriate pictures, I'll have 9-year-olds come to me and say, you're talking about sexting, aren't you? And that's scary for me. That at that young of an age, we've kind of accepted it. Now, also, the survey said 71% of the young people that sent the pictures were their girls to their boyfriends. Judgment call. This is why I share it with you guys. 15% of the kids who send nude pictures of themselves admitted, I sent it to someone I only know from the internet. That is a huge piece of a puzzle of who you are. And they're doing it. And then 36 and 39% say, I know once I share my picture, it gets shared with other people, but who cares? It's fun. Common sense goes out the window. I'm concerned not only about your digital footprint, but what that picture can do to you. See, the question when you send a picture is not only who's going to see it, but can someone find out where I am because of a picture? And the answer is 100% yes, because of that great tool called GPS. The best way to show you is by example. We all know what GPS looks like. That's how I found your school. I went to Google Maps. They put a nice little thumbtack on top of your school. Fantastic resource. Let me show you how it can work against us. I took this picture of our state capitol with my iPhone. GPS was running, emailed the picture to my home account. When I got home, I downloaded a picture enhancing program that allows me to do a whole bunch of things. As you can see, I can flip it, I can reverse it. It's a great picture enhancing software. It's free, anybody can get it. But it offers me information on the photo. When I click on that, it brings me what they call the metadata of the picture. This is the stuff that tells the computer, hey, this is a picture and this is how you read it. But it also gives some important information. Date and time the picture was taken, and then it provides latitude and longitude to where the picture was taken. This program goes one step further. You want to see it in Google Earth. Let's walk through. Let's recap. I opened up my email and I right-clicked on that attachment and said, open in this program. Information was my second click. My third click, that's exactly where I stood when I took that picture, guys. I learned this from a bad guy. He taught us about the metadata in pictures. Every time this picture gets shared, this data follows it. Doesn't get wiped out, doesn't get erased. It could be a cute picture of you with your new kitten, or it could be those inappropriate pictures. Now the problem, inappropriate pictures that are taken by kids your age aren't at Bushnell Park at the Capitol. They're in their bedroom or bathroom of your house. That thumbtack, guys, is on someone's house. So not only are you giving inappropriate material out, you could be telling a complete stranger, here's where I am. Be careful with it. Sexting has some big concerns. We all talk about it, we laugh about it. Here's the deal though, sexting didn't even become a word until last January. It's been causing chaos all over this country, but it wasn't even a word defined that we could look up until January of 2012. Now we got a definition. But in Connecticut, we got something even better. We got a sexting law that affects your age group, between the ages of 13 and 18. Now laws are really worded. Let me give you the Reader's Digest of the two things that affect this law. If you are between the ages of 13 and 18, you take a picture of yourself that's deemed to be child pornography. Child pornography is the age of the person in the picture, the act, how the body parts are exposed, is the Reader's Digest version. Makes it an illegal picture. You take one of these pictures and you hit send to your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whoever. As soon as you hit send, you face up to 1 year in jail, $2,000 fine, and or both. If you receive a picture of somebody you know, we're not talking about the pictures that people surf over the internet. You receive a picture and you go, oh my gosh, that's so-and-so. You look at the picture and go, wow, that's pretty cool, and you keep it. 1 year in jail, $2,000 fine, and or both, whether you asked for it or not. If you think you're funny and you hit forward because you think it's hysterical and everybody in the school should see it, you face up to 5 years in jail on a felony charge. Now some people say it's extreme. Here's what happened before that law, guys. I would have to go in front of a judge and say, Your Honor, you know what? 14-year-old kid made a mistake and took a picture and sent it. Nope, we have no gray area. Distribution of child pornography, 10 years. So we're taking a different approach. Some people say I shouldn't be telling you guys about this law. I say baloney. You need to know the information so you can make better choices. It's out there. There are kids all across this state being affected by it. Please be careful. My rule is very simple. Before you take a picture with a mobile device, ask yourself one question. Am I ready for the world to see it? If your first reaction is, I hope my mom and dad don't see this, don't take the picture. Because let me show you what happens with these pictures. Let's take the legal part completely out of it. I want to go back a couple years and you'll see why I use this case as an example. Now this is not the real picture, that's just one I got off the internet. A 14-year-old freshman goes into her bathroom, takes off most of her clothes, stands in front of her mirror and goes click. Sends it to her 15-year-old sophomore boyfriend. 2 days later they broke up. He goes, oh yeah? You're gonna break up with me, will you? Takes out his phone and he forwards that picture to all of his buddies in his address book. Guys get the picture and go, wow, pretty cool, ha ha. take out their phone, and they forward it to everybody in their address book. Now the picture, inappropriate? Absolutely. Illegal? No. Because of the pose, because of the body exposure, the picture was not illegal. So here's what happened. The next morning, our freshman girl is walking through the high school halls, and a senior boy who she's never spoke to before, thinks he's funny, walks up with his cell phone and goes, "Nice picture." And there she is. And she freaks out, like all of us would. "That's private. What are you doing with it? You shouldn't have that. Give me the phone." He thinks he's cool, puts it in his pocket, and he walks away. She goes to the principal. "Help." Principal calls the police department, they call me. I sit down with the girl, and the first thing I ask her, did he pressure you? Did he coerce you? Did he trick you in any way? "No, I thought he cared about me, and I realized that was a mistake," is what she tells me. Okay, we're learning already. But we couldn't make an arrest. So what we did is we brought in about 10 of the guys that I knew were sharing the pictures. And I said, "Guys, you gotta stop. There's consequences that you're just not thinking about. You need to stop circulating this picture." And they got up with their little arrogant smiles, and they laughed at me and said, "Whatever," and they walked away. And the principal looked at me, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, "We're not done, are we?" I said, "I don't think so." And I wish I was wrong, but I was right, because the next day they printed up the picture and put it all over the school. They went through her neighborhood, and they put it in the mailboxes of all of her neighbors. Now at that point, I was screaming at the court, "Give me an arrest warrant, give me somebody." And they said, "Who's circulating the picture?" And I said, "I can't prove that." So here's what happened. I wish the story ended there. But 3 weeks go by and I don't hear anything. I get a phone call from the principal. And while I'm talking to him, I hear a young lady in the background crying. My first thought, and I wish I didn't have this thought, was this young lady tried to hurt herself, because this is the pattern we see of young people that get involved in these cases. She was crying because the picture was on the internet. I went over to the school, sat down at the computer, and I was able to track the website. As I'm tracking the website, I looked to her and said, "You know what, if it's a local kid, I'll go over and maybe I can persuade him or her to take the website down." I can be persuasive sometimes when it comes to that. When I located the website, it was an adult pornographic website out of Singapore. I looked to the young lady and said, "This is a permanent part of your digital footprint." She looked to me while she was crying and said, 15 seconds. She said, "It took me 15 seconds about to take that picture. It had to be fast. My mom was in the next room." I said, "This is going to follow you. I wish it wouldn't, but it would." Now this was in 2007. The reason I shared the story with you, and I got a ton of sex in case I can share with you, is a phone call I got January 25th, 2011. Sergeant from that police department called me and said, "Hey, do you remember the case?" I said, "Absolutely." He goes, "The picture's back." I said, "Well, it never went away." But I said, "Answer me one question. Did she apply for college or did she apply for a job?" He said she applied for a college scholarship, and that's exactly what happened. The College Scholarship Committee's procedure is to Google search all their applicants. Now the picture is tagged with her first and last name on a website in Great Britain. This picture has traveled the world and it will not leave her. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't express it enough. This stuff will follow you. What seems funny now could have a lasting and negative impact in the future. We have to think about how we treat each other. We have to think about what we do with this great technology. This girl, 15 seconds of dropping her guard, and it's still following her around today. Just be careful. Now, here's where I got to get a video camera and videotape you guys when this slide comes up, because you guys have been fantastic. You see bullying. Here we go again. Yeah, we're going to talk about bullying again. See, there's a big difference from bullying when I was a kid, because I was the victim of bullying, and it absolutely positively stunk. But today's bullying is a whole different ballgame. See, when I was a kid, I had my house. When I got home from school, I locked that door, I didn't answer the phone, no contact with the bully. Now, because of today's technology, there is no escape. Let's say something happens in the halls here, right at your school, and someone's getting bullied every day, jacked up against the locker, whatever, however you picture it in your head. Our first reaction as bystanders should be, "Hey, knock it off. Hey, someone get help." But our first reaction normally is either we laugh, or nowadays we pull out our phones and we record what's going on to make a permanent record of someone being mistreated. I personally don't get it. But let's say that happens right here in your house, and the victim, the person being bullied, finally has the courage to stand up, goes to the principal and says, "I need help." Right then and there, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, one of the most mature, biggest steps anybody could ever take. When we get to a problem in a crossroad in our lives, and we have enough courage to look to someone and say, I need help, that's huge. But instead, what do we normally do? We ridicule and make fun of the person. So let's say that victim is in the principal's office right now. In their pocket, their cell phone is going crazy. The principal and the student take a break. The student takes out his or her cell phone, and the first message is from their best friend. Hey, heard what happened, are you okay? Man, that's a great message, but that's terrible timing. Because while that victim is dealing with one stress, they see that message and their first reaction is, oh man, everybody knows already. And that's how fast it spreads. You know how fast things spread in this hallways without the digital stuff. Now we add that digital medium to it, it's a whole different ballgame. And then when their victim gets home, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, one of them has something about it. There is no escape whatsoever for the victim. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce to you, in my opinion, the biggest case of cyberbullying to ever hit this country. And I'm going to share with you why I talk about this story. This is the Florida cheerleaders. Now when you're watching the video, please watch it in silence and let everybody process what I'm telling you as we go through it. These 6 girls lured one to a house so they could beat her up, videotape it, put it on YouTube to humiliate her because she had contact with one of their boyfriends. Not sex, not dating, just talking, relationship kind of stuff. So they bring her to the house, they start beating her up. These 2 tough guys guarded the front and back door so nobody could get in and help this 16-year-old that she's getting beaten almost to death. In my opinion, 2 of the biggest cowards to ever walk the planet, because they could have done something about it. They could have anonymously called 911 and said, hey, at this house someone needs help. Or they could have walked into the house together, got the girl out of there and said, this is wrong. But instead, to be cool, they guarded the door. They beat her till she went unconscious, stood around her, let her wake up and beat her some more. I can promise you, if that was my case, attempted murder, and I would have been screaming it as loud as I could have. But here's what happened. She's injured. They throw her in the back of a car. They don't take her to the hospital. They don't have the courtesy of dropping her off at her house. They go to the local mall and dump her out there so they can rush home and put this video up on YouTube. And within a day, it goes viral. Now what happens, these are their mugshots, they get arrested, and they go to court and they plead their case. They don't look like that in court though. They're all in their nice little ponytails and their beautiful dresses, and I'm so sorry. I can't believe what we did. I made such a big mistake. It'll never happen again. And my question always through the trial is, what are we doing for the victim? These guys got their time, they did their little time that they had. And someone asked me once, how long should these girls be in jail, in my opinion? And I said, that's an easy answer. They should be in jail as long as the video is on the internet. And ladies and gentlemen, they would be in jail for the rest of their lives. Because of things like YouTube, and because of things that we think are funny, and we circulate and spread, a victim who's partially deaf in 1 ear now for the rest of her life because she talked to a boy can't escape it. And this is how we treat people. 1 year, people rated it on YouTube 4.5 out of 5 stars. We forgot that a 16-year-old almost died. Hollywood forgot about it. They made a movie about this. I really and sincerely hope they contacted the victim first and said, hey, just so you know, we're going to make a lot of money off of this, but it's going to make you relive trauma that nobody should ever go through. 6.3 million people in a year watched that girl almost die in any comments. The sad part is, we're not learning from it. This is Amity up in Canada. Towards the end of last year, Amity got bullied at 3 different schools. Went on YouTube for 7 minutes with note cards, begging and pleading people to help. Please help. I've tried to kill myself once already, I don't know what to do. Nobody helped, and a couple weeks later she committed suicide. We can't let this happen. Guys, in my opinion, and I promised you when I first started, I don't lecture, that's not what I'm trying to do. But as someone who has dealt with child crimes for the last 24 years, nothing drives me more crazier when someone from cyberbullying comes to me and says, I don't know why they're doing this to me. I've done nothing wrong. And most of the cyberbullying victims, that's the case. But what do we do when we get involved? Let's say there's a Facebook or an Instagram picture going around. Instead of telling the right people about it, we jump on there as their friend and say, hey, you're an idiot, take this down. Don't do that. Mark of maturity is finding an adult, finding someone you trust and say, a kid needs help. That's the way to get involved the right way, because if we deal with it as a community, then we can make an impact. I did this presentation in one of the toughest high schools I've ever been in. And when I made that challenge, and we were all in bleachers in the gym, I made that challenge, I saw a young girl crying, and I knew I hit a nerve. It wasn't my intention, but I knew something happened. She came down at the end of the presentation with her Facebook page open on her phone and said, okay, what do we do? And it was a private message, and the message said, in the last 3 days, 16 people have told me I should kill myself. I don't know what to do. I looked at the girl and said, do you know this girl? She goes, yeah, she lives in this town. We got the police department, we got the school psychologist involved. And without a hesitation in my head, I looked to that young lady and said, you are a hero, just by asking the right questions. That girl was at home, she was taken to the hospital and got the help that she needs, because someone stepped up and did the right thing. Not everybody in here is going to like everybody. I get that. Boy, do I understand that. But we have to really start to think about how we treat each other, because this stuff can't go on much longer. Now, to change gears a little bit. It's this time of year, let's say there's a snowstorm tonight, you're out in your front yard and you're shoveling your driveway. The guy pulls up in a van, it's that guy. And he looks to you and says, hey, is this your house? How old are you? What's your name? By the way, you look pretty good. Can I take your picture? No one's going to do it. In most towns and in your community, that's a police emergency. 911, bad stranger, get the police, get the dog, get the army, someone's trying to hurt our kids. But when we open up social networking sites, we answer those same questions and many more for billions of people. Now, social networking sites, virtual community, blah, 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 we know what they are. Let me give you my definition. When I was working undercover online, I was 13-year-old Stacy from the town of Glastonbury. I met a guy through a chapter. We talked for 2 months. He says, I'm going to meet you. We're going to have sex, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Okay? So he showed up at the scheduled meet. Walked up to him, I said, Mr. So-and-so, I'm Officer Driscoll, you're under arrest. His reaction was, put his hands behind his back. As soon as that second click of the handcuff happened, I leaned in and went, oh, by the way, I'm Stacy. I'll give you that one. That was a really cool part of my career. That was a fun part. Because what happened was this. He turns into a little 2-year-old, screaming, yelling, goes pale, starts to sweat. I'm going to jail. Yeah, get in the car. You're going to jail. But when I do my interviews with these guys, I want to learn from them. Because everything I learned from them, I bring back to you guys. But this guy was bad. I didn't want to learn anything from him. I didn't want to talk to him. So as I'm doing the paperwork, he says, I'm going to jail, aren't I? And I would say, yes. He's like, why? And my answer was, just to be blunt, I'll tell you exactly what I said to him. You were going to rape a 13-year-old girl. No, she wanted to have sex. I said, no, in the state of Connecticut, 13 can't give consent. It's sexual assault. But I couldn't live with that. I had to learn from this guy. So at that point, we were doing a lot of instant messaging, doing a lot of stuff that way. I said, listen, we didn't do a lot with Facebook and all these social networking sites. What's your opinion on social networking sites? Whole attitude changed. His tears went to this arrogant smile. He sat up in his chair. I get goosebumps every time I relive this story. Looked me square in the eye and said, they're a dream come true. I said, what do you mean? He says, I can research a town, a school, and a kid. And before I say hi, I've already put the puzzle together on who I want to talk to. And I know the answer to all my questions before I ask. And it sent chills down my spine, and it still does when I relive the story. But he is 100% correct. See, why do we use social networking sites? There's a lot of different reasons, guys. Right, when it first happened, everyone would come to me and say, I got a Facebook account, this and that. I would say, why? And the answer was, everybody does. Well, you know what? Now to a point, they might be right. But let's turn this into a positive. You guys are at the point in your life where you might be thinking about what you want to do for a career, what school you want to go to. That's when we can use social networking as a positive. You want to work for Dodge, or you want to go into the Navy, start following them. Because ladies and gentlemen, the job market's tough. When you go for a job interview and you say to them, hey listen, for the last year I've been following you on social networking sites, and I know your company's goals and objectives. And the reason I know them is I've been studying this company and I am a perfect fit because you're one step ahead of the competition because of a social networking site. The challenge though is using them in the right way. The problem is we don't. We think social networking sites are for everyone to use. Now I'm going to walk you through what the bad guy showed me. See, I have undercover Facebook accounts that I use to help law enforcement, to do undercover investigations. I have some. So I opened it up and I found this young lady. Took the screenshot right before she went to the timeline. Everywhere you see blue, it's a piece of the puzzle that bad guy taught me. Her picture, her name, her school, her boyfriend's name, her date of birth, her friends and their comments. She has 1,200 photos. Ladies and gentlemen, Go to Target, Walmart, CVS, I don't care where you shop. Buy something called a photo album. Print your pictures up, put them in there. Having 1,200 pictures on a social networking site is asking for trouble, especially when you have over 1,100 friends. Now, I have never said a word to this girl, and she is not one of my Facebook friends. She is a friend of one of my undercover Facebook friends. So her security settings are either not set, or friends of friends can see everything. I had to cover up that whole entire picture because there she is in her school sport uniform, name of the team and everything, with her 2 teammates. Then we go down and she was into Form Spring, relationship status, her cell phone number, her email. Then I just go to her pictures. Now we can look at the pictures a lot of different ways. Some of us can look at it and say, yeah, cute girl having fun. College Scholarship Committee can go, you know what, 15 playing beer pong? Nah, not so much. Or a bad guy can go, whoa, she's next. All of them are legal. There's no law against looking at people's open profiles, so you've got to be careful. With all the information, I just go to the school's website. And now I know where she is. This school, and it's hard to read, but I wanted to show you the actual screenshot. That's her school athletic calendar. I click on her team. They provide me a detailed map to where she practices every day. 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. I've never said hi to this girl. She's halfway across the country. If I was in that town, I know her moves. The question is, can someone do this to you? I understand you're not going to run home tonight and take down your social networking accounts because I told you to. But I do hope you look at them in a different light. I do hope you go through your friends list and say, do I know these people? Because I have kids in this area as Facebook friends, and they don't even know it's me. So be careful. Your security settings are a must. Now, the consequences, people are using Facebook for a lot of different things. We all know it. We see the news. We also see Twitter coming up and coming. I think Snapchat is going to be a huge problem for you guys. Everyone thinks Snapchat just disappears. I can promise you from the labs and studies that I've done, Snapchat does not disappear if you do it a certain way. Be careful what you're using with that one, guys. But it's not just kids. As you get older, we have to think about this as a community. Now, I know this crowd. I think I know the reaction. Everything I ever put on a screen has a reason for it, including this picture right here. Now, this is a charity car wash. A charity car wash outside of an exotic dance club. We can all have our opinions on that, but it's for a good cause. The reason I show you this picture is not the girls, but it's right there. See, that's the marked police car's light bulb. This is an on-duty police officer who had the same reaction you guys had. Wow, check it out, pretty cool. So he pulls in and has his car washed. The girls think it's hysterical. They take pictures and put it on their Facebook account. He was fired the next day for conduct unbecoming of a police officer. Now, I don't know if you know what it takes to become a police officer. We don't just walk into the lobby of the police department and say, give me donuts and give me a gun, I'm going to go fight crime. It takes a little bit more than that. Schooling, education, academy. It takes a lot to become an officer. In a couple pictures, this guy lost it all. So what can we do? We've got to make sure we keep people like this out of our lives. This is a 20-year-old that sexually assaulted 3 14-year-olds he met through Facebook. Convinced them he was cool, they met him, he sexually assaulted 2 14-year-old girls, let the other one go home without any assault. These guys are out there, you've got to be careful. So what do? We have to make sure we don't share our information because we share the internet with some unique people. Every person up here has had the internet affect them in a negative way. I want to talk about one, right there. That average looking guy is why I started my company. That average looking guy is why I wrote my book. And that average looking guy is my motivation every single day to come out and talk to kids like you. I talked to him for 7 months. Long story short, when we arrested him, because he was going to meet other girls besides me, he had 250 girls from across this country on his buddy list that he was communicating with. And he had several videotapes of young girls that he sexually assaulted all over this country. He met on the internet, the oldest being 15. He's my career case, he's my motivation, and that goofy looking guy, as average as he is the scariest man I've ever met in my life. So what do we do to protect ourselves? Your security settings are a must. Your age, start Google searching your name. See what your digital footprint looks like. You can start getting control over it. If you've made some poor choices, now's the time to catch them. Know what your friends are and remember the difference between a buddy, a friend, a stranger, and a friend. Your tagging will become searchable, so be careful with it. As we wrap up here, don't share your passwords. This is becoming a bad habit with people. Your passwords are yours only. Do not respond to messages that you don't know from people. I've won the lottery in 17 different continents and countries, and I'm still here. Never share your address or your parents' information. Be aware of your signs of trouble. And I'm going to change this slide. It's not just going to be friend. It's going to be friend, peer, classmate. You don't have to be best of friends to look to an adult and say, I think someone needs help. And be careful what you do with your mobile devices, as we talked about. If you suspect something is wrong, don't ignore it. Trust your judgment. If you think you're in danger, call the police. Look and get involved, but do not continue communication. The biggest thing you have to remember is you have the right to be safe.
I am a teenager.
I am online. I enjoy sharing thoughts,
Music, videos.
Ideas.
information.
I will not
I will not be a victim to threats.
to stalking, to soliciting, to predators.
I will be responsible.
I will be careful.
I will be honest.
I will be smarter. I will get my parents involved.
I will protect myself.
I will be safe.
I am a teenager. And I
And I
Will not.
be bullied.
I'm an adult and that video gets me pumped up. Now, as we wrap up, we're right at the end of our time and I appreciate everyone's attention. Here's my promise to you. When you start looking through all your devices and you say to yourself, am I being safe? Research it if you're not sure. If you can't find the answer, your administration, your guidance department will all have my email address. All you got to do is simply say, can we email Mr. Driscoll a question? It would take me 5 minutes to maybe help you prevent a problem than a possible lifetime of reacting to it, guys. If it's not me where you get the answer from, just make sure you get the answers and keep being safe. You guys are awesome. Have a great day. Thanks.
Okay, even though the bell hasn't ring, you guys